How's it going, everyone? My name is Bertimus, and welcome back to the forest. Now, today, we'll be working on the start of, officially, our second tree location within the map. Now, this location is going to be the next tree over that's directly above where our little logging area is. I'll get to that in just a minute to kind of show you guys where we're at, but the focus for today's video is to get that base started, that location started, by getting the main structure kind of established, and then we can start working on all the surrounding stuff around it in later videos. But I wanted to get that started today. So that is the goal for today, is to get that started. So as you guys can see, we have our little like staging platform and my little saving area for cutting trees down over here, down there at the bottom of the cliff here. And where we're at is, if you go straight back from there, there's one of those trees. And so this is what we're going to be focusing on today. So we have our path that kind of leads all the way from our checkpoint area, our little way station as it were, that leads all the way up to here. And then this is where we're going to be focusing our attention today. I have all of these logs ready to go to start being filled up. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to take an idea that I got from Farkit on how to specifically do a tree house for this tree, since you can't attach platforms to trees anymore. They used to be able to do that, where they would like snap in and be able to do like the cliffside one, and then you could like build multiple platforms to kind of create a base or something to stand on to build this tree house out of. Since you can no longer do that, I'm going to take an idea that I got from Farkit and sort of expand upon that. So if you're curious about what that is or how to do that build, I'll have a link down in the description below so you can go check that out. Otherwise, we're going to get started and I'll kind of walk you guys through it as we go along. So in order to do this, for any of you that didn't go over and watch that video and are sticking around to have me explain it, let me walk you through it. So in order to do this properly, in order to make sure that at the end this is going to be a true floating platform, what we wound up doing was building these rock pillars at certain points all the way around to kind of make a circle. And then what you do from there is you actually have a rock pillar that you build inside of the tree, which can be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but we got it to work. So you build a rock pillar up roughly, I think I went 3 high within it, just to kind of give us a nice height away from the tree itself, and to make sure that we had plenty of room to walk around down here without it feeling too low or not feeling like we're going to have enough space once we get up into the tree. So once you build that establishing pillar in the middle, you build similar sized pillars all the way around as far as you want the platform to go out. And then what you do is you start by starting one point on the pillar in here, and you take it out to one of the other pillars out here, and you have to kind of take it all the way around and just make sure you click those points that kind of take it all the way over. And then you bring it back to one that is pretty close, but you can't be connected to the same one, because you need to take it back into the central hidden pillar in order for it to stay floating when you destroy all of the pillars out here. Theoretically, when I destroy all these other pillars, the actual blueprint that we've established is going to stay behind. It starts in the center pillar here, which we can see highlighted. Now if I go through and destroy these two, you can see that it actually destroys the pillars, but the platform itself stays up. So what we're going to do now is go through and destroy all of the pillars so that all we have left is the blueprint standing on that central pillar, and then we're going to start to chop down trees and fill it in from there. Once we get that going, then we have to figure out how to put a rope on. Now, we'll get to that in just a second, but let's just say, Farkit, I got a little tip for you, and I don't know if you knew this or not, but this trick, this technique really helped me. So let's go ahead and jump into that. I'm going to go ahead and take care of the rest of these pillars, start filling this in, and then I'll check back with you all as soon as I've kind of got that rocking and rolling. I've gone through and cleaned up and built the entirety of the platform here. I have also tried to clean up this back edge, but for some reason, it won't let me actually delete this one little piece. And let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm not sure why, but hovering over it, it doesn't actually give me the option to get rid of this one little piece. And I have no clue why that is. It'll let me cut into the main platform, but it doesn't actually highlight that piece unless I go like way back here. And I don't want to cut into the platform that much. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that, but that's very, very kind of frustrating. I guess we just have a little floating piece in addition to our platform, so we'll just have to deal. Another thing that I did is that I haven't filled in this gap yet, but in order to get up there, I had to build something in order to put a rope on it. Now, in Farkit's video that I have linked in the description, he put a simple basic stair and just get that up there and get it down, because that was kind of like the best looking thing that kind of made sense at the time. I figured out another trick. So what I did was I went into the book. I'll show you guys what I did. I did a platform, and I put a platform up there to the point where it hugs it, and it doesn't actually go all the way through. So once you get the platform up there, then you can attach a rope, like the single rope like I did here. And so it's technically fixed to that anchor. But, and here is the big but, if I go through, now that the rope is attached, and destroy the platform, the platform gets destroyed, and the rope is left behind. So now I have a rope floating up into the base. Now I can get up into it, and it's much easier without having to have anything else here. It's just simply the rope itself. Now I still am going to have to go through and fix this gap. Ooh, something busted? What needs work? I think the tree was broken. So now that that's there, all I need to do is fill in this gap. So let's see if I can fill in this gap. Now, here is also something to keep in mind, is that when you are doing this custom floor stuff, it has technically kind of remembered the points that you've laid it out before. So I should be able to go roughly to where those pillars were before and be able to snap. Ah, see? So I should be able to snap on to where it remembers the pillars being. The pillars aren't there anymore, but it remembers them being there. And then I should be able to take that out to about there. And then take it back into here. Yeah. So even though that looks like it's going to be really raised up, it's actually not as bad as it seems. That's just kind of the way the blueprint lays out. So when I fill in this gap, I'll have had this all patched up, and it'll look like we've attached the rope just directly onto the platform itself. Pretty cool little hack, if I say so myself. If you guys wind up using this little technique, let me know, because I'd be curious to see how you actually use it in your builds as well. I think it just is a much cleaner look. I'm very surprised that it worked, but I'm really glad that it did. The next thing I need to do is maybe clean this up, make this just a little better. It's a little choppy. I want to get that a little nicer. Fill that in, and then I want to start working on the roof, which means I'm going to have to place pillars farther along the outside and then kind of repeat the same process that I did before. So what we're going to do is I'm going to place, I think this platform has effectively made it so I can't build off of the pillar before, so I'll have to place a new pillar in this center branch, and then that will be the pillar that we'll base our roof off of. So I'm going to go ahead and start laying all that out and fill this in, and then I'll check back in with you in just a minute so that you guys don't have to see the grind of all of that going on. It's kind of lonely and kind of boring. I'm back, and what I've done is put pillars roughly, I want to say 7 high, because I did another 3 high within the main tree. So if I go up into here, let's go up into the tree. kind of go through the floor a little bit, but it's such a clean look, I really don't care. So I mean, look, once you get that all patched up, it's so smooth. So smooth. So what I did, I can actually, it's morning now, I can put this away, was I did another pillar within the center tree here. Can you actually, I don't think you can see it at all. Nope. So I've got the pillar inside of there. In fact, I can show you where the pillar is if I go to the hole cutter. Okay, so you can see I have the pillar 3 high in the center of the tree here that I was able to place. From that pillar, and from these pillars I placed all around the outside at about 7 high, I was able to connect the point there, go to 1, connect to a second, and then bring it back to the middle. So same concept as before, as long as everything ends at this center pillar within the tree, when we get rid of all these support pillars, everything will just be hanging. So now we're going to have this humongous outreaching hanging roof stretching away from the platform. And I really, really like the way that this looks. I went with this technique specifically, like having all these little individual pieces of roof, because I really liked the texture of how it kind of like dipped in and out. And I thought it just created a really interesting look for how this essentially, you know, giant tree house is going to look. Now, the reason I wanted to go with a tree house for this particular tree is just because at each location I want there to be respect for these, you know, tree deities or these ancient trees, but I want each location to kind of feel unique and different. So the first one we had like the big mega church that's kind of like going around it and up around it like that, made predominantly out of wood. I thought that was really cool, but I wanted to do something different. So in this one you actually come up into the tree and are able to sort of worship in that way. I might put some sort of altar here that you're able to like literally come up into the branches and essentially become one with the tree. Sort of a tip of the hat to the three-eyed raven from Game of Thrones. I just think that would be really cool to feel like you became part of this particular place. I'm also adding a save point up here just so I have a spot to sleep that isn't down on the beach. It makes it a little easier now that we have this platform built up off the ground and I'm safe from all of just the regular cannibals running around. I'm not entirely certain if this is going to be high enough to ward off like the Cowman or Armsy. I know Virginia can jump. Armsy may still be too tall and able to knock this down. I'm not too keen on seeing him come around these parts until I have the outer walls built, which will be in another episode. So hopefully we don't get Armsy showing up. If he does, we'll just have to kind of lead him away and hope for the best. Because I don't want to do all this again. It took a long time. But as you can see, it's going to take an even longer time right now to get all of this. I'm going to state for the record that as much as I personally like the look of this roof, I cannot recommend that any of you do this roof too, because it is super, super resource intensive. Because it's all different pieces of roof, they all have quite a few logs associated with them. I mean, we've got 40, 38, I mean, each one of these is a good chunk in its own. I need 412 logs just to do the roof, not including the, 7 logs it takes for this saving point. Ridiculous and expensive, and I cannot recommend this. If you want the look, it's a really good look. I personally like it a lot, but buckle up because you're in for some work. I don't know why I put myself through this torture, but I really love the look of it. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start getting rid of all these pillars. Just kind of squat and move. As long as you take out the base, you'll take out everything. So once we get all these pillars taken out, I'm going to go start chopping wood and get ready to start filling in all of the different pieces of roof. I feel like I should make things a little easier on myself to start with. So we're going to use one of my favorite methods of chopping trees. Stick a dynamite in a cluster. There we go. Oh. Alright, let's start chopping trees. I love dynamite. It's so much fun. So, we've done some damage to this section of the forest. I'm not sure if I went too far, but I cleared out a really good chunk here. But it's totally worth it. Let me show you why it's worth it. Welcome to the almost completed treehouse. I got too excited. I didn't want to finish it. I wanted to wait and show you guys a couple things. But you guys really get the sense of what I'm going for now. So I wanted to show it to you now because I'm just really excited. We got the roof completely finished. And it looks amazing. That could not have turned out better. God, aside from this stupid... I'm not going to get worried about that. In fact, if you guys have ideas on what I can do to incorporate that in a more creative, meaningful way, let me know in the comments below. I'd be curious to hear. But for now, we just have this, and it's going to bother me forever. And I'm not rebuilding this whole platform just to fix that. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. Bertimus, you can't hold logs and climb up a rope because you dropped the logs. You're correct. That's why I built log holders up inside the treehouse. 2 large log holders in here that I have been filling from down here by taking logs and placing them through the floor because you're able to still reach it. And that's pretty much how I got literally all of the logs that are for the roof and everything else up into here. Up here. It's time-consuming process, but it works. If you know of a better way, I wish you had told me sooner, because that took a long time. Another thing that I decided to add around here, because I didn't want to just have the platform go off into nothing, I wanted to have some sort of wall. Now, if any of you have been following ZumaArcade and his Season 4, he did something very similar on his floating platform where he wanted to have like a mid-sized wall but didn't want it to be sticks or rocks and wanted to have a different option. And so he kind of went crazy and found a way that if you use the weapon rack, the one that's a little stump on the ground, and just repeat it over and over again, you can make a makeshift wall out of that. Zuma, I'm sorry, but I had to take that idea. I just thought it was so cool and I wanted to incorporate it into this build. So we're taking bits and pieces of different creators and slamming them all into this little Bertimus mashup and putting my flair on it. Trademark, whatever. No. Honestly, I think it was the perfect addition for a wall around this particular treehouse. It wouldn't have felt right with rocks. It needed to be all wood, and this was a fantastic solution without having that super generic grid pattern stick fence. It wouldn't have felt right for this. It feels much more natural, and the way that it kind of dips in and out to hug the curvature of the misshapen logs and everything here, it feels really, really good. And I'm super happy with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish that off. Another thing that I did is as soon as you come up into this, you remember how I was talking earlier about wanting to put some sort of altar to allow you to become part of this particular tree? I put a staircase in here so I could actually build on it. So you have a stairway that leads up to this chair and also has this crown essentially of skulls because of the bone chandelier. So you have this crown of skulls in here with this chair. I need literally one more friend to stop by. I haven't seen anyone in ages. I got enough to kind of get all of this done, but I need another neighbor to come by. So while we're waiting on somebody else to kind of come strolling along, because this is actually a patrol route. While we're waiting on somebody, we're going to go ahead and finish these walls. But my hope is that once I finish that chair, when you sit in it, that bone chandelier becomes a crown of skulls around your head, and you essentially become like the three-eyed raven, essentially, and get to experience this tree from a different point of view. Honestly, I just thought it would be a really damn cool feature to have on this, especially with this one facing out. So essentially what that's going to do is put a skull over your head like this. It's gonna feel kind of like you're getting plugged into the tree, and so perhaps in that way you can more directly interface with the forest gods. Wait a minute, was that my heavy breathing or did I hear someone? Wait. I will say that having all of these trees cleared out has made it really easy to start spotting people coming up on me. I had the perfect amount of logs to finish this off. Ha ha ha! Alright, the walls are done. I don't have to worry anymore about hugging the wall and potentially falling off the treehouse. Possibly a couple more lights up here, maybe another bone chandelier in the back, and I'm playing with the idea of hanging a skull lamp in each of these sections to kind of like help illuminate it from the outside. We may play with that in a future episode just to kind of see how it looks, but I've spent enough time on this as it is. So all I need now is to go find one more friend, get a couple more bones, and call it good. Hello, friends. It's nice to see you. Oh, that's all I needed. Well, shopping's done. Let's take it back. I also just realized that I still had my warm suit on from the evening, so that was dumb. I lost a little health there, but whatevs. Hi, friends. Do you like the treehouse? Have you come to check it out? What do you think? It's pretty cool, right? Yeah. What the fu- How about you stay out of the treehouse, please? You're not supposed to be able to jump up into it. Did not appreciate that little demonstration of yours. Thanks. Although now I'm curious. Can you actually get me from down there? I can't tell if he's still under here or if he ran off. Did you die? Did you die trying to jump into the treehouse? You just... Man, how on earth did you die trying to jump into that treehouse? Idiot. Okay, well, the chair is finished, so let's give the chair a shot. Now, if I do this... Oh, yep, it worked. Look at that. Look at that. My head is literally in the skull. I am the first skull. God, that's cool. This is the one time I wish that I had had mods on this just so I could go third-person camera away from me to see what this looks like. This may give me a reason to do it. I don't even want to install the mod API stuff because I don't want to be even like tempted to use it. I know that might seem silly to some folks, but the way that this game is enjoyable for me is no mods. Like, it has to be all done by hand, by yourself. If it's a big build, you put in the time and effort. That's my personal belief, and that's the way I'd like to play this game. But if there was ever a time I wanted mod API strictly for the third-person camera, it would be now. Now, I have a lot more plans to go around the outside of all of this and put up sort of defensive walls and, you know, little areas like that. But that'll all come in a later episode. Alright, so that's all the time I have for this episode today. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any ideas on how to fix that little floating piece of platform, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your ideas. And if you're excited about this new section being added into all of our big base, let me know down there as well. Alright, till the next video, see you all later. Bye.